Hello everyone. I hope everybody has got the idea regarding to the chordates, their general characters, their outline classification, and also have got the clear-cut idea regarding to these protochordates. No, in protochordates, we have seen these general aspects, general characters, their classification, etc. We have also revised most of these important aspects of these protochordates. I hope that everybody has got clear-cut idea regarding to these protochordates, their general characters. As we have revised it more than 2 or 3 times, so what it is very easy to understood the characteristics of these protochordates. That means these protochordates are simply called as sea squids. These are exclusively marine in habitat. They are having this. These are also called as tunicates and they may be hermaphrodite. Their development is indirect, and some examples of this Eurochordate shows this Pneumotony one. Along with these terms, we have just mentioned all these aspects of these protochordates and in this classification, we have seen these protochordates are having these 2 classes, of which these protochordates are having these 3 classes. Eurochordates are having 3 classes: Acidaceans, Thaliaceans and Larvaceans. And cephalochordate मध्ये आपण एकच क्लास बघितले, that is called as leptochordate. Example was the Amphioxus one. Along with this, all this aspect, we have just completed the first chapter of this paper number 5th, that is animal diversity, and that name of the topic is these protochordates. I hope everybody has done the homework also. Right from today, we are switching on the next aspect or the next chapter, that is the general characters and classification of Agnatha. In this topic also, or in this chapter also, we are going to see what are the various general characteristics of this Agnatha, along with this some sort of this classification up to these classes, and we will see what is the general characters first of all, and then we will see this classification and these examples of the Agnatha. As we know that the Agnatha is nothing but the cyclosomes too. I already told you what is meant by these Agnathas. Agnathas are nothing but those are these vertebrates animals. Those are not having the jaws jaws are absent and their mouth is circular one. So what these animals are called as Agnathans or cyclostomatans. The general characters regarding to these Agnathas are, these are eel-like animals. Eel-like animals with circular mouth. Skin is slimy one, and scales are very less. Even though these are very resembling to the fishes, or just like this fishes one, they are not having this much more scales on their body, and so what these are slimy one. Without jaws, no doubt, unpaired fins with slender cartilaginous finners. Just like these fishes, they are also having these fins one, but in most of the fishes there are paired fins are there, such as these pectoral fins, first dorsal, second dorsal, pelvic fins, tail fins. In case of these Agnathans or cyclostomans, they don't have this paired fins one. Only this first or second dorsal and tail fins are there one. As we know that these tails or the fins are, in case of these fishes, are mostly useful for the swimming. No? Yes. The brain is next character. The brain is encased in a cartilaginous cranium. In the classification, these are included into this group Craniata one. And Craniata is nothing but the presence of this cranium box, that is presence of this nerve cord. Anteriorly it develops into this brain, and that brain is covered by means of either by means of this cartilaginous or bony brain box one. In case of these Agnathans, the brain box is of cartilaginous nature one. They are also having this pouched gills supported by means of this cartilaginous branchial baskets one. Gills are pouched one. Maybe number maybe varies right from 7 to this 15 pairs of these gills are present in case of this cyclostomes one. Notochord is there. the cheap axial support for this body persists throughout the life and never replaced by means of this vertebrae one. In case of these Ognathans, even though these are these craniates one, notochord is not entirely replaced by means of this vertebral column, just like this higher vertebrates one. The cartilaginous vertebrae or not entirely developed vertebrae are seen in case of this Ognathans one. Nerves are non-modulated one. Modulated and non-modulated nerve fibers are there. In case of these cyclostomes, these nerve fibers are non-modulated. That means if you see the functions of these nerves, they are involved in this conduction of these impulses one. That modulated and non-modulated nerve fibers, that modulated nerve fibers conducting the impulses at a faster rate than that of these non-modulated nerve fibers one. But in case of these cyclostomes, these nerves are mostly non-modulated one. Nasal organs impaired आहे, no sympathetic nervous system आहे, no conus arteriosus, no distinct pancreas, no spleen, no genital ducts are there. Nasal organ impact. Nasal organ, it is not developed only. Single nostrils are there on the tip of the snout one. Sympathetic nervous system, that sympathetic nervous system is a part of this autonomic nervous system, and it is also not developed in case of the cyclostomes one. If you see the functions of the sympathetic nervous system, they play significant role at the time of the sudden action, just like this fever or just like this fear or any sudden response when it has to given by means of this body. That sympathetic nervous system plays significant role in conducting these impulses at a very faster rate one. Due to absence of this modulated nerve fiber, sympathetic nervous system is also not well developed in case of this cyclostomes one. No conus arteriosus. Conus arteriosus, it is the part of the heart which is mostly present on the above the right ventricle one, that is involved into the circulation of this blood one. The part of this conus, that heart, that is called as conus arteriosus, is not developed in case of this Ognathans one. Right from these amphibians, we are having this conus arteriosus one. No distinct pancreas. We know the functions of this pancreas one. Pancreas are endocrine and exocrine as well as one, and these are involved in the functions of this digestion along with the hormonal regulations. And no spleen is also there, no genital duct. Spleen, we must know this, what is the function of the spleen. It is the organ situated along with this liver one, and that spleen plays significant role in the maintaining the purification of the blood in removing or discarding the worn out RBCs one. No genital proper ducts are also observed in case of this Ognathans one. That means this Ognathans or cyclostomes shows this. Some general characters are there. If you see the classification of the cyclostomes are classified like this one. These are, no doubt, these are included into this vertebrates one, group craniates one, नंतर क्लास आहे अग्नाथा आणि त्याचे दोन सुपर क्लास अग्नाथा आणि त्याचे दोन क्लासेस आहेत. वन इज कॉल्ड एज ऑस्ट्रॅकोडर्मी and other one is called as cyclostomata one. That ostracodermy, this includes the species armed fishes one, circular mouth असणारे fishes होते त्याच्यामध्ये, but all these species of these ostracoderms are extinct one. And in this topic we will only see the only two orders of these cyclostomes, that is this Petromyzontiformis and Myxiniformis one. Petromyzontiformis example, there is a Petromyzon, and Myxiniformis is the example Myxin one. These two animals are also there for this practical one, for the identification and morphological peculiarities one. Today we will see the details of these cyclostomes along with these orders Petromyzontiformis and Myxiniformis one. First of all, we will see what are the details of this Petromyzontiformis one. This order cyclostome चे first order है Petromyzontiformis, and it includes the animals, eel-like animals. These are called as Petromyzons one. This comprises widely distributed eel-like slimy, that is, these are having this very less scales on their body one. Soft skin, scales less Ognathus, known as variously as lampreys, or these are also called as lamper eels, lamperers, and prides, etc. Belong to a single family, Petromyzontidae, consisting of 8 genera. There are about 8 genera are there, so many species are there, and they are the predators on these fishes, turtles, etc., and remain attached to their body one. These are these predators on these other fishes and turtles one. The most important characteristics of this Petromyzontiformis is that these lampreys lives in fresh water, but some spend their life in the ocean and returns to the fresh water only to reproduce one. That means they are traveling so many distance from fresh water to the sea water too, but the fact is that for the reproduction they have to come to the fresh water only. The head, if you see this morphological details, the head and trunk are nearly cylindrical. Cylindrical head and trunks are there with side to side compressed tail region is there. The tail is mostly laterally compressed. Mouth is round, no doubt, encircled by means of these large basin-like depressed buccal funnels. Inside the buccal funnel, there are radiating rows of these yellow horny teeth are there. And at the bottom of this buccal funnel, just below the mouth, is a small tongue bearing horny teeth one. Tongue in this case of this Petromyzon is appearing organ just like this rasping organ one. Mouth is a circulated one, circular rows of these teeth are there, and tongue acts as a rasping organ one. A nasohypophyseal sac, that means nostril, below the nostril there is a sac, and that sac is called as nasohypophyseal sac, which opens by a single nostril on the dorsal surface of the head one. That means this, if you see this, so many characters are there of this Petromyzontiformis one. More than 8 genera are there. More than 8 types of this species are included in this Petromyzontiformis one, and they shows this eel-like body, laterally compressed tail, mouth circular, tongue, rasping organ ahe, and nasal cavity opens outside by means of this single nostril one. Nantar so many things are there. We are in this lecture we are going to see more than 15 to 20 characteristics of this Petromyzontiformis one. Next character is, in the membranous labyrinth, semicircular canals are 2-1. In case of this Petromyzontiformis, the semicircular canals or membranous labyrinth is the part of the internal ear one. And mostly in case of these higher vertebrates, that in membranous labyrinth consists of these 3 semicircular canals, but in case of this Petromyzontiformis, only 2 semicircular canals are present, and these semicircular canals, if you see the functions of these semicircular canals, they are performing role of balancing the body during this swimming or the locomotion one. If you had any kind of this infection in our ear, we can't balance our body due to this fluid present into the semicircular canals one. In case of higher vertebrates, there are 3 semicircular canals are there, but in case of this Petromyzontiformis, there are only 2 semicircular canals are there. The lateral line sense organ consists of isolated pits opening on the surface one. The lateral line sense organ is nothing but the we know that the fishes are having this mostly laterally compressed body one, and right from in case of this Petromyzontiformis, most of the fishes body is cylindrical, tapering at both the ends one, and at the lateral side there are sensory receptor cells are there. These are called as mechanoreceptors or these chemoreceptors cells are there, and these receptor cells are receiving the signals from the surroundings water medium, and that forming this lateral line sense organ in case of this Petromyzontiformis. In most of these fishes, this lateral line sense organ system is present one. Paired eyes without eyelids and covered by means of this transparent area of the skin one. In case of these animals, the eyes are paired one. 2 eyes are there on either side of this head, and these are without having any kinds of these eyelids are there. But the eyes, they are aquatic in habitat. Eyes are covered by means of this transparent area of the skin one. Next character is there, pharynx ends blindly and forms a branchial basket a little behind the side, and on the sides of this basket are 7 pairs of these small apertures are there. These are called as gill pouches opening separately. Numerous gill lamellae are present on the inner surface of these gill pouches. The most important characteristic regarding to this respiration, in case of this pharyngeal respiration is there, and with the help of these pharyngeal gill slits are there. In case of this Petromyzontiformis, 7 pairs of these gill slits in the diagram is also shown there. 7 pairs of these external gill slits are seen on either side of this head region in the region of this pharynx one, and these are forming these pharyngeal baskets, and all these gill lamellae included into these pharyngeal gill slits are performing this function of the respiration one. Next character is there, paired appendages are absent, mostly paired appendages. If you see these higher vertebrates, in case of these paired appendages, forelimbs and hind limbs are there, but in case of these Petromyzontiformis, paired appendages are absent, but two approximately equal dorsal fins. On the dorsal side, just near the tail, there are two fins are there, first dorsal fin and the second dorsal fin is along with this caudal fin one. And the second dorsal fin is continuous with the caudal fin. The stomach is absent. Tiplosole present in this intestine. What is known as this tiplosole? Tiplosole is nothing but it is the dorsal outgrowth of the inner lining of this intestine one, and those are aligned by means of these specific cells. One, those are absorbing this content of this digestion. Also, they are secreting various enzymes as per the nature of this food material one. And the tiplosole is nothing but the fold of this inner epithelium from the dorsal side into this intestine one. And that tiplosole playing significant role in the process of digestion. It mostly obstructs the passage of this intestine. That means, so what, the food is gradually transporting toward this next part or towards this anus one, and so what, that food will be resides for a longer time into this intestine, and that will be helpful for this proper digestion of this food material and absorption of this food material, the cell lining to this tiplosolar regions one. And that is called as tiplosole. We have already seen that tiplosole in case of this earthworms too. So many characters are there. In case of this Petromyzontiformis, liver is large, no doubt. Bile organ, it is gallbladder and bile ducts almost entirely absent in adults, but present in this larva stage. The thing is most important, that liver is large, bilobed organ. In case of this, our brings higher vertebrates, the liver is having 4 lobes one, but majorly we are observing 2 lobes one, and the right lobe is having this 2 another anatomical lobes are there, including in this way they are including these 4 lobes. But in case of this Petromyzontiformis, liver is large, bilobed organ, gallbladder is almost absent, bile duct almost entirely absent, and in adults, but mostly it is present in this larva. That is, this Petromyzontiformis shows this indirect development one. Larval forms is also there one. Spleen absent, as I already told you. Pancreas is represented only by means of these cells embedded in the wall of this intestine in the liver one. Pancreas is also absent, but the role of this pancreas, we know that it is endocrine as well as this exocrine. In case of this Petromyzontiformis, the particular group of the cells in almost into this wall of this intestine performing the function of the pancreas one. Heart is also 2-chambered, no doubt. The mesonephric kidneys are drained by pronephric ducts which carry only the urines one. That means here in case of this Petromyzons or Petromyzontiformis, kidneys are mesonephric and these are performing these functions of excretion one. Genital ducts absent. Already we have covered that part into this general character aspects. Gamete process from this gonads to this coelomic cavity, and from where they are carried outside the body one. Fertilization, external, adults die after spawning. Most important thing is that regarding to this reproduction, most of these members of this Petromyzontiformis are living in fresh water, or they may be traveling a long way into the sea water, but they come for the reproduction towards this fresh water one, and after spawning, after laying these eggs, most of these adults are dies one. Amnocellate larvae is ill-shaped larvae are there, lack specialized feeding mechanism of these adults, and possesses endostyle for this food trapping one. That means endostyle is also there in case of these larvae too. Rudimentary vertebrates are present in the form of this small cartilage on each side of this notochord, 2 pairs of each metameres one. As I have already told that in case of this order, cyclostomes, notochord is there, which is not entirely get replaced by means of this vertebral column one. Metameres are V-shaped, these are these muscles, and 9th and 10th cranial nerves are not enclosed into this cranium one. In case of this, most of these vertebrates, these cranial nerves are included into this cranium, but in case of this Petromyzontiformis, the cranial nerves, these 9th and 10th, are not included into this cranium. So many examples are there. Petromyzon is there, Lampetra is there, Entosphenus is there, Ichthyomyzon, Geotria, Mordacea, etc. As more than 8 species are included, genera are included into this Petromyzontiformis one. That is, these are the some morphological characteristics and some anatomical features regarding to the general aspects characteristics of this order Petromyzontiformis of the class Cyclostomes 1. That means most important characteristics of this order is that these are ill-shaped, these are aquatic, maybe adapted for this marine water as well as this fresh water too. Eel-like body, slimy, no scales are there, no vertebral column is there, endostyle is present, and if you consider this respiration, 7 pairs of these gill slits are there, and reproduction is considered. The most of development is indirect one, larval stage is there, and most of these adults are dying after the spawning one. After laying these eggs, most of these members of this Petromyzontiformis get dies one. Okay, along with this we have completed one order, that is Petromyzontiformis. Another one order is there, that is called as Myxiniformis one, and the most important or this most famous example of this order is Myxine. The similarity between this Petromyzontiformis and Myxiniformis is very similar one. Morphologically, both these species appears similar in nature. Cylindrical body, laterally compressed tail, etc., etc. One. If you see the general characters of this Myxiniformis, that is, these are exclusively marine in habitat. Petromyzontiformis मध्ये we are appearing both freshwater and marine water forms, but for the reproduction they are entering into this freshwater form. But in case of this Myxiniforms, these are exclusively marine. Slime eels, nothing but the slimy body surface is there due to presence of these less dermal scales are there. So what, these are called as hagfishes. Descended up to a depth of more than 300 fathoms, that is up to the depth of about 540 meters. Some adults are non-parasitic, no doubt, and most remains attached to this muddy bottom where they rest temporarily one. They are mostly present in this muddy bottom of the seas one. They feed on these dead or dying animals or prey upon living polychaetes and priapulids. Mostly these are the scavengers one. Scavengers are nothing but these natural cleaners one, and similarly they are performing the function of this cleaning these dead and decaying fishes into the seas one, and they are mostly the prey depend on the larvae or mostly living polychaetes and priapulids. These are these marine worms one of the annelids are there. Annelidaचे आपण कॅरेक्टर्स बघितलेले होते. annelidaचे क्लासेस होते ऑलिगोचिड्स, पॉलीचिड्स and hirudinians. One of these polychaetes and priapulids are these are called as marine worms. Nereis and priapulids, these are these marine worms on which these myxines are feeding one. No doubt body is cylindrical, 40 to 80 centimeter long, producing immense amount of slime from the slime glands one. As we already told that body skin is slimy, buccal cavity large, but the mouth is not expanded into a funnel. Just like this Petromyzon, Myxiniforms मध्ये mouth it is not expanded in the form one. Mouth and nostrils are surrounded by means of these tentacles. The most important characteristic in case of myxines is that the mouth is not expanded in the form, nor that it is circular, but it shows numerous tentacles around this mouth one. Single median palatine tooth above the oral aperture and 2 rows of these smaller teeth arising from the dental plate on the tongue one. Single median palatine teeth is observed in case of this myxines one. The terminal nostrils opens into this tubular nasal duct leading to these olfactory organs, and is continuous with the nasohypophyseal duct opening into this buccal cavity just anterior to the velum. These are this part, velum is the part of this pharyngeal region one, and we are having this only terminal nostril is there. A narrow caudal fin surrounds the end of the tail. A single fin is there, and dorsal fin continuous with this tail fin one. External branchial apertures may be 1 to 14 pairs. Each branchial aperture communicates by a short efferent duct with one of these gill pouches, which is again connected with the pharynx by another tube. The basic difference between this Petromyzontiformis and this Myxiniformis is that in case of this Petromyzon we are observing 7 pairs of these separate gill slits or these gill apertures are seen on either side of this pharyngeal region, but in case of this Myxiniforms only single aperture or gill aperture is observed, but internally they are containing numerous pairs of these gill slits are there. Okay. There is no traces of this neural arch in trunk, but in posterior part of this caudal region, both neural canal and notochord are enclosed in a continuous cartilaginous plate. The roof of the skull is entirely membranous and spinal cord is covered with fibrous tissue only. Here some sort of these vertebrae are there, and that neural arch is nothing but the part of the vertebrae just on either side of this neural spine one. Central neural spine is there, pre-zygapophysis, post-zygapophysis are the parts of this vertebra, and vertebraचा the central neural spine आहे, त्याच्या बाजूला एक curved arch आहे, that is called as neural arch. In case of this Mixiniforms, there is no such traces of this neural arch is observed in case of this Mixins one. Spinal cord is covered with fibrous tissue only one. The intestine, no doubt it is wide. Liver consists of separate anterior and posterior portions. The two lobes are there, the ducts of which open separately into this gallbladder. Gallbladder is present. Pancreas like organ, the insular organ present. No definite spleen, but blood forming lymphoid tissues is found scattered into the submucosa of this gut one. Pronephros is retained in adult myxinoids, but mesonephron is the functional kidney retaining primitive segment arrangement. That means in case of this myxins also we are having this mesonephric kidney for the process of excretion one. Olfactory lobes are large. Regarding the brain is concerned, olfactory lobes are mostly concerned with the sense of smell. Ventricles reduced. Midbrain smaller than in lampreys. Olfactory lobes are larger. Ventricles are these cavities of these brains are reduced one. Midbrain is smaller than in this rather than this lampreys one. The ventral and dorsal roots of the spinal nerves are united. If we take the transverse section of this nerve cord, we are observing this dorsal and ventral roots of this spinal nerves. In case of these myxins, these dorsal and ventral roots of the spinal cords are united one. In case of these myxins, eyes are vestigial, sunk beneath the skin. Vestigial eyes are there. Eyes are not properly developed one. Single semicircular canals having this ampulla at each end in the membranous labyrinth. As we already mentioned this character in case of this petromyzons, there are two semicircular canals into this membranous labyrinths are there. In case of this myxins, we are having this single semicircular canal which plays significant role in balancing the body. In addition to that, lateral line sense organs lacking and the pineal organ is absent one. In case of this myxins, lateral line sense organs is lacking one. No doubt sexes are separate. Larval stage and development in case of this myxins are entirely not known. That is not observed or it is not understood properly one. And they are only the vertebrates to resembles marine invertebrates in having blood that is osmotic to the seawater one. This is the only vertebrates resembling to these marine invertebrates one. These are these animals are mostly observed into this exclusively marine habitat, and these are resembling in many aspects toward this invertebrates one, but they shows this notochord and all these things. Pharyngeal gill slits are there, gill pouches are there included into this cyclostomes or this Agnatha group of these vertebrates one. Most of these examples are of these myxins are myxiniforms are myxin, paramyxin, Iptatretus or Bleidostoma, etc. That means you just compare both the diagrams of this petromyzon and myxin. You will see all the details. That means in case of this petromyzon, how the mouth is there. In case of this myxin, how the mouth is there. Pharyngeal gill slits, how many pairs are there, which are externally seen or easily observed in case of this petromyzon. But in case of this myxins, only single external gill opening is observed, and internally those are possessing number of this gills are there in case of this myxins one. If you compare this petromyzon with this myxins too, regarding to this fins are there. In case of this petromyzon, we are having this first dorsal, second dorsal and tail fin is there, but in case of this myxins, we are having only this continuous dorsal fin along with this tail region, and it will continuous up to this anal region ventrally as a ventral fin one. Along with these characters, we have just completed the chapter, that is the Agnatha or cyclostomes. In classification, there are only two orders are there, that is Petromyzontiformis and Myxeniformis one. Okay, we will stop here. Next time we will see the next aspect, that is the Pisces, along with these general characters, classification up to these orders, and the respiratory components or respiration in case of this fishes one. Thank you very much.